What would you do if one of your biggest fears came true? How would you react? Well, from Marlin Wakeman, his reaction time was limited when he encountered two not-so-friendly sharks near his boat. Hit like and subscribe. This is Fierce. Marlin Deer Wakeman has quite a story of how he survived his brush with death in one piece. As an experienced deckhand for his young age, 24 years old, Wakeman has seen almost everything that would instill a huge fear of the water in many people, but not in him. Growing up in Stuart, Florida, Marlin was used to the life of a fisherman since he was a little child. So it's not unusual that he followed in his father's footsteps and developed a passion for fishing and boating. He started his career at only 19 years old, but despite his young age, he managed to accumulate plenty of experience, so much so that he started to receive job offers from all over the country. As the son of a well-known captain, Marlin learned everything he knew from the best, showing what true passion for a job well done could look like. Since his very first job, he's been involved in fishing at a higher level than most people his age. After all, with his father's legacy preceding him, the young man had something to prove. He worked with some of the biggest names in the industry and developed a very good reputation because of this and because of his good work. A few weeks ago, as he was working on a job in the Bahamas, one of Marlin's biggest fears came true, something he hadn't experienced ever before during his career or his childhood. On his many trips to the Bahamas, working as a deckhand on a charter fishing boat, he heard terrifying stories about the docks where they usually would drop anchor, the Flying Fish Marina. This spot was famous for the impressive and scary number of Caribbean reef sharks that populated the waters and fed on carcasses. He used to joke with his friends that if you were to fall in the water there, you wouldn't even have 2 seconds to think about your next move. The Caribbean reef shark is found in the tropical waters of the western Atlantic Ocean, from Florida to Brazil, and is the most commonly encountered reef shark in the Caribbean Sea. With a robust, streamlined body typical of requiem sharks, this species is difficult to tell apart from other large members of its family. The Caribbean reef shark, which can reach a length of almost 10 feet, is a prominent predator in the reef ecosystem, consuming a diverse range of fish. For a shark that swims actively, they have been observed to lie still on the ocean floor or in caves. Typically timid or uninterested in humans, Caribbean reef sharks can turn aggressive when they sense food, and they can get big enough to pose a threat. According to Marlin, there are so many 5 to 7 foot sharks that usually crowd the marina that you can almost step on their heads and basically walk on water. Apparently, people would gather with buckets of fish in order to feed the sharks for entertainment purposes, which attracted more and more sharks to the area. Organized shark feeds have become a profitable ecotourism industry in which groups of reef sharks are attracted to divers using bait. This practice has drawn controversy in the Bahamas, as opponents argue that the sharks may learn to associate humans with food, increasing the chances of a shark attack, and that the removal of reef fish for bait may damage the local ecosystem. Therefore, danger was at an all-time high whenever they would dock there, and the captain used to warn his crew to be extremely cautious of every step they took. On that day, April 26, 2024, after arriving at the Flying Fish Marina, all the way from Stuart, Florida, Marlin was tasked with the tedious duty of bringing fishing gear back and forth from the dock to the boat. You know, being a fisherman has its ups and downs, its cool moments, and its most tedious jobs ever. So it wasn't a surprise to anyone that Marlin wanted to finish his task soon. Unfortunately, one wrong step would almost cost him his life. As he was returning to the boat to carry some more fishing gear, he made the rash decision to jump toward the edge of the boat rather than carefully taking his time when stepping on the deck. As he tried to jump almost 3 feet, his miscalculations sent him straight into shark-infested low-tide waters. In a matter of seconds, more than 20 sharks surrounded him. The predators started swimming around him, excited that they were going to eat something else instead of fish carcasses. But Marlin, as soon as he hit the water, understood what was happening to him and managed to stay calm. He knew it was life or death, shark versus man. He knew he had to act fast. His captain's words echoed inside his head. He knew he hadn't been careful, and most importantly, he knew he didn't want to die. Wakeman swam upward toward the boat, but nothing could prepare him for what came next. As he hung on to the boat cockpit, a shark ferociously bit him on his knee and dragged his head underwater. Despite his mouth filling with water, the young man fought and resurfaced for just enough time to take a big breath before being pulled again by the powerful predator. Marlin continuously kicked the shark as much as he could, while also trying to keep his surroundings in check. Everywhere he looked, there was a shark, but this didn't make him lose his calm. Instead, he punched the shark's head with his hands as much as he could, while trying to shake his leg loose from the shark's jaws. As soon as the almost 7-foot shark loosened its tight grip, the 24-year-old resurfaced. He kept thinking, "Why don't I feel any pain?" In reality, the adrenaline that was coursing through his body softened the shark's bite. Marlin only felt a lot of pressure, but as soon as the first shark retreated, a second one bit him on the shoulder. This time, it felt like a punch. Marlin's luck didn't give out, though. The second shark didn't seem to hold on to its victim's shoulder too much, and when the opportunity presented itself, the 24-year-old miraculously managed to pull himself up from the water onto the boat. With his left leg mauled and his shoulder pulsing with pain, Marlin dragged himself on the deck, while reality hit him more powerfully than ever. He assessed his injuries, which were not very pretty to look at. After a few minutes, pain slowly started to invade his body, and he let out a scream as blood began to flood from his knee. Now, after the calm had passed, the 24-year-old started yelling for help, desperate to survive. The boat's captain heard his screams and ran to him in a heartbeat. After seeing the blood that surrounded the young man, he sprung into action, applying a tourniquet and elevating his leg. Scrambling for a plan of how to transport his deckhand to a medical center, the pain was unimaginable, and Marlin's body couldn't take it anymore, so he blacked out. Back home in Stuart, Florida, Marlin's father got a terrifying text, one every parent wouldn't want to receive. As soon as he found out about his son's injuries, he called his captain and asked him to organize a chartered plane for West Palm Beach. The next day, Marlin was transferred to St. Mary's Medical Center, where he received additional medical care. His doctors said it's a miracle he survived the horrible attack. It's not common for people who fall into shark-infested waters to come out of there alive with a shark bite that barely missed the femoral artery, and Marlin is well aware of his luck. His injuries were life-threatening, but the doctors believe he will make a full recovery, especially after some physical therapy. Despite his almost fatal encounter with death, the 24-year-old can't stay away from water for too long. He will, however, be more careful so as not to fall again into the jaws of a shark or two.